Good evening and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We have something very interesting to tell you. My name is Patrick Thomas from Red5599. We are in the Babasontony studio here, audio and video studio in Islington. I came here to help Mr. Babasontony fix a digital to analog converter for studio sound recording, and he's kept me here hostage and he won't let me out. No, I'm just kidding. I came back here voluntarily. He actually enticed me back by saying, "I've got a bottle of wine here for you. You know, come." Psst, psst. Like a cat with some food, you know, here's a bottle of wine. And so he's enticed me into this chair with this bottle of wine. But seriously, folk, today is the 18th of August, 2018, and we're here once again in the Babasontony studio. Tony has spent a lot of time and energy over many years working hard, blood, sweat and tears to acquire this very precious equipment, and he has me in his chairs. I mean, sometimes I give him a little bit of advice, but he has a lot of knowledge and ability himself. So, Tony, what's the first question you're going to ask me?
Well, first of all, I want to thank you for being here for the last couple of days, assisting me with my sound card for my studio, my Mark of the Unicorn 2408 sound card, which was giving me some problem. Before that, I had some problem with the computer itself, where it was crashing, and you came along and suggested that the connection from the monitor to the computer wasn't connected securely, and you rectified that, and the problem went away.
And I've got to add to that, ladies and gentlemen, and the viewers listening. 3 days ago, I had a massive afro hair, right? And those 3 days was the most harrowing, in-depth, and I had to look at it in so much details, and you know, the such concentration, all my hair fall off, and hence that. So three days ago I had a big afro, now the pressure and stress. But we managed to solve and resolve, and moving forward with well, we solved and resolved and moved forward with the problem, and now we're here using the facilities to its maximum and best ability and skill. Okay, so that's the situation of what happened in the last few days. Now this is a strange interview because I'm actually sitting in the chair being interviewed, and I'm actually asking the interviewer to ask me the questions that he's supposed to ask me. And so what is the first question you gonna ask me? Not about the great afro I used to have in so many years ago, but...
Well, let me suggest that you losing your afro, I've almost lost in my knees, being on the floor, getting to the computer. Over the last couple of days, I'm on my knees, both of us, trying to rectify the problem. Because we had a problem with the sound card as well, which over the last couple of days we managed to sort out, so that we have sound coming from the system now, which we didn't have a couple of days ago. But you can tell us a bit about yourself. You know, I know you've got so much ability in various different categories, but if you can go back as far as you can to when you first started on this journey, you know, give us an insight into your background and stuff like that.
Well, okay, yeah, I will go back to the beginning and start my journey and then insight into where you're at. But I gotta say, you nearly losing your knees, the thing is, we never managed to lose our minds, because we could have, with all the technicalities and everything. So we're still fully able and sane, maybe, or maybe not. Maybe we've been in this business too long, and you know what they say, you've been in it too long, you know, you lose your mind. And it's my mind again. I've dropped my mind somewhere, you know. Oh, there's my tablets. I better take my tablet. No, it is a crazy business we're in, and people take substances that has driven them to distraction or destruction. We've lost many from taking substances from this business. Oh, not to mention Prince. We still don't. Do we know the cause of his death? Is it substance? Michael Jackson. Was it the doctor gave him too much? You know. And recently we lost a little bit of respect. What's her name?
Aretha Franklin.
Aretha Franklin. You know, and more personally and more close to me, Count Prince Miller, who was part of many of the family of people I've worked with, including Desmond's. He was part of Desmond's cast. Just last week I was with Pork Pie. Pork Pie is part of that Desmond's thing. He was part of the Moonlighting thing, the main MC at Moonlighting. If you check my site, Red5599, you see some of the videos where Count is actually comparing, and he's the main compare at Moonlighting. And before that, Black Heroes with Flip Fraser. Fraser has passed away too, and he was part of that family, and I was part of that family. So I've been many part of the family. So not only Count Prince Miller on a personal note, and many family, and you know, so that's. But as I was saying, illicit substance and what have you with Michael Jackson and Prince. But the beginning. Way back in the beginning. Here's the effect, the wavy effect. I kind of started off when I was at school, and I did lighting on stage for a local community group, and it was down in Hanwell. It's actually called Cuckoo Lane, believe it or not. Is it Chestnut Community Centre, if that's the name? And when I was at school, I used to work with the community organisation, and I used to do the lighting on stage for the band and help them with their community function, which used to be like once a month. And the beautiful thing about those functions was that you would have everybody come to it. And what I used to remember most of all was some women used to come in with their pram, and they used to push their pram in, and they used to have their baby in it, and they used to have their toddler, which may be 5 or 6, and they used to be running around. And everybody used to be around. You have auntie, uncle, grandma, grandpa, nephew, niece. Everybody used to say hello, strangers and whatever. So that's what used to happen in the community events there. So that's when I was at school. That's when so I did the lighting with that, the stage lighting. So when the band would come on, you know, fade up the light over the drummer, fade up the light over the main singer, fade down the light in the main hall. You dim the light in the main hall, so everyone's looking up at stage, and all the lights on the stage. The spotlight, make sure it's over the main singer. Most likely it's a white light so people can see. We'll make sure the light from the front can see, so everybody can see the actual faces. That was part of the. So that was kind of the first thing. The second stage on that same stage, in fact, was when left school, left home, and I'm working with a sound system. The sound system name is actually called Universal Sound. Now some people used to call it University Sound. And on that same stage there, we used to have a most advanced sound system, and our speakers were cabs. It was custom built cabs with JBL speakers, bullet tweeters, unheard of at the time. Very expensive. And the console we had a front panel that actually lit up in perspex that said Universal Sound. The decks itself, we had NAB, National Association of Broadcasting, cartridges, right, which only radio stations had, and you put them in and they will run for 30 seconds. Do you remember 8-track? It was similar to 8-track. So these cartridges go in, you press it, run for 30 seconds, run an ad, and we had professional ads run. Now, so on that stage itself, not only did I actually do the light, so we had Chestnut Center, I also started recording, and my friend here actually heard my latest recording a couple of days ago, which was done this week, and he couldn't tell whether it was in a studio or live. But here's what, going back way when, that's when I used to start my recording. So we had the live band, bands like Blue Wonder, what's the other band, and bands that were around at that time. What time are you asking? Probably the end of the 70s, beginning of the 80s. More like still the end of the 70s, towards the end of the 70s. And so those dance band that went around doing the dances and stuff, we worked with them. So we was one of the most advanced sound. So not only was I actually recording at the time, I was actually, and I've still got the tapes. I had to release them from the Chestnut Center down at Cuckoo Lane, down there in, is it Hanwell? It's West Ealing, yeah. I have to release that. Maybe I'll put it on SoundCloud, so you check that out. So that was live recording. And the same technique I used yesterday, we're in 2018 now. Same technique I used there. So you have one ambient, one mic that picks up the live sound, and you have one mic that actually picks up the straight from the actual mixing console. Or am I disillusioning myself, or is that what I thought I wanted, or I'm not sure, I've got to check the recording. So that was with Universal Sound. So it's a funny kind of thing. So straight from school to Universal Sound. We didn't challenge any of the sounds like Sir Coxsone or Saxon Sound or what have you. But interestingly enough, I've just put up the other day, well, yesterday kind of thing, my friend who I was working with last Sunday, Sir Lloyd, as in Sir Lloyd Sound, and somebody has recorded Sir Lloyd versus Coxsone Sound and Sir Lloyd versus Sir Coxsone Sound, and this is going back 30 years or so, and I knew Sir Lloyd long before that. But when did I leave Universal Sound to go off on my own? So that's Universal Sound, Chestnut Center. We're doing community dances. There's a lot more to it, but let me just end this kind of section. We worked with Greg Edwards, Robbie Vincent. Robbie Vincent's on Jazz FM. Greg Edwards used to do Soul Spectrum on Capital Radio. Steve Bernard, who's passed away, who was not mentioned at the 50 years reggae anniversary we did Sunday Gone. People like Bobby and Steve, the #1 jazz funk people at the time. Froggy is known to have the biggest and best sound disco system at the time. Now we have sound system, then white folks had disco system. So Froggy had the biggest and best and was part of the industry. And even Froggy came and worked with us, we worked with Froggy. But meanwhile on the other side we had sound systems, Soprano B, Coxsone, Fat Man, Lord David. Geddy's sound system, funny enough, has transcended from back then to now. Fat Man still exists now. He had his anniversary just February. But this is so intense and so intense and so big, it can't go into one video. We had Steve Bernard, we had Tony Williams. Tony Williams has passed away. We have David Rodigan. David Rodigan is still alive. And I was part of that original crew. Daddy Ernie did something just the other day, and he had paid respects, and I was part of that original crew. If you remember, you know, I used to work closely with Tony Williams on his event and stuff. He had places like the Royal Albert Hall. The first time we would go into such places, we did gigs in the London Palladium. And here's what, there's never been any reggae gigs, as far as I know, up to date, in the London Palladium or the Royal Albert Hall, right? Only Mobo and Kanya King, who I've worked with, who was part of the original Crystal Rose team to do the Crystal Rose show, which I worked with, still working with sometimes, Crystal Rose, Kanya, MB, sold the whole thing to, I don't know, Channel 4, and that now moved out of the community hands now, much deeper. Alright, so that's a little bit of a snapshot into a little bit of what happened then, and we had pole vaulted into different things. But I come in many different sectors and sections, not only the music sector, the broadcasting sector, the nightclub sector. Oh, the nightclub sector, oh, that's another story there. Moonlighting, and as with Count Prince Miller. Moonlighting, now, before Moonlighting was Parade Street, Q Club, Count Suckle, and Christine Keeler, the Profumo affair. They used to go to the Q Club. In fact, there was a movie called Black Joy, and there were scenes actually in that nightclub, Count Suckle. But back to my time, after Q Club, there was Moonlighting. We had Stevie Wonder, Robert De Niro, Jasmine Guy, Eddie Murphy come down to Moonlighting. And what's unique about it is that they came to promote a movie about one of the best nightclubs there ever was in the roaring, I don't know, the days of America, when, what did they call it? When they banned the drinks, what was that called?
The bootlegging days?
Yeah, was
bootleg era?
Yeah, that bootlegging era. It was called, the club was called the Moonlight Club. Alright, it'll come to you what the era was. Prohibition.
Prohibition, yeah.
Right. And they came. Eddie Murphy, Stevie Wonder came down as well. Jasmine Guy came down. It was called the Cotton Club. And it was about one of the best black nightclub there was at the time. And they came to the best nightclub in London town. And I checked on, actually, if you go on my YouTube channel, you actually see Stevie Wonder came down and he judged a beauty competition. Blind man judged a beauty competition. That, the pictures went into the Sun, the Daily Mirror. You know, it went worldwide, because some of the publications from Europe still haven't paid me the check yet for the pictures. But he came down to promote, because he did the theme song for the Cotton Club. So from them doing a movie about one of the best nightclubs in America during the Prohibition era, they came down to one of the best nightclubs in London town at the time, Moonlighting, which I was working at as the media director. I didn't know what media director was then.
We're going to have a short break and carry on after this.